I feel kind of badly ranking Formless by Fate so far down this list because he's a very talented artist and most of his lyric tracks are much better, but this one was just a complete mess. The biggest issue was the mixing, which in the bass was just completely overwhelming any other synth on this, or drum on this track, to the point where it's almost the only thing you can hear. It does try different things later, but overall it's just kind of not powerful enough to take on that huge flaw. And even not considering that, it's by far his weakest track I've listened to so far. The melodies and sound design is just much weaker than his first two, and it feels like he's been on a downward spiral since the first one. It's hard to think that he's got to come back, even though I know he has so many more great songs on the label. My number 14 is going to be Full Focus by Noise Storm, and this song doesn't do too much horribly wrong, but it really doesn't do anything well. That's the main reason I rate it so low, and I feel like a 3 out of 10 is pretty solid rating for it, because it's just bad for no extreme discernible reason to give it like under, but it doesn't do anything that makes me actually look at it and say, that's pretty cool. It's just kind of like, say, the very average screechy dubstep from this time period, and there's one interesting synth at the beginning of the drop, which is like metallic, and then it barely gets used, so yeah, it's pretty generic and blends in. I'll give this song this. It has some interesting ideas. The drop isn't the worst. I do kind of like that distorted bass house trance thing that was going on this time. There's a lot of songs that use it that got rated a lot higher. But generally, it just sounds very, very cheap. Like, the pianos just sound straight out of Nexus presets, and the lead synth is just, it's awful. It's this weird, bubbly, like, very generic EDM synth, and it just does not work at all for me. And I heavily dislike how the song is just like this one happy piano part, this one angry bass part with basically no connection, just goes back and forth and then ends. It doesn't flow very well for me. This song actually achieves the impossible for being the drop I've hated the most throughout everything I've listened to so far. The only reason why it's not lower is because the production is pretty good, and everything except for the drop is well made, but the drop is just, it pisses me off because of how generic and upbeat and cool it is, and I just really dislike some. I mean, I enjoy a lot of house songs. You'll see some that are very high on my list, but ones like this are just so obnoxious and, I don't know, bro-y. It's just kind of frustrating, and there's not much I can say about it except for I hate this style. So yeah, 3 out of 10. Not a good song. This song gets a 4 out of 10, not for being slightly below average, for being completely split by terrible material that deserves like a 1, and some pretty sick dubstep for the time that deserves like an 8. But like, it's so bad and so good in separate areas. Like, the part right here is, it's awful, and the section after this, in my opinion, is very nice. So I couldn't exactly figure out how to rate this because I'm so split on it based on the sections. So I decided to give it a 4 out of 10 because it kind of fails at connecting things, and the bad does overweigh the good, and like the very, very cheesy melody in the beginning just doesn't do any favors. So this is a very normal song that snuck into a decently high place in the list just by being completely average. This song really does bore me, honestly, because there's nothing it really does that's interesting. But it's not bad in a way. The production is pretty tight, and it is very minimal, and it's not annoying, which is the best thing, because dubstep songs from this era tend to be very obnoxious, and this one is very chill, and it's just, I don't know, I enjoy listening to it, and it doesn't really anger me. So it's a pretty solid 5 out of 10, because it doesn't make me happy, but it doesn't make me angry, so it's, I have no opinion on the song, it's okay. This song is also just incredibly uninteresting. It's very similar to a lot of the other melodic dubstep, kind of like pre-trap stuff that was going on at the time, but nothing really jumps out to me about this one. And it's kind of surprising, because Arian usually has some really great earworm melodies, but this one is just kind of devoid of them. And the entire thing is really repetitive. There's this like one or two melodies going throughout the entire thing. And overall, it's not too interesting. There's like this thing where it like chops up and like cuts a lot, and it's kind of cool for the time, but that sound is just so overdone by now, it doesn't grab me at all. So yeah, Elements of Sanity by Arian is number 9. So I'm happy to finally have a dubstep song that is not incredibly boring and actually makes me say, oh, that's pretty gang. This one has like an orchestral composition for the beginning, which is really interesting. And the drop is just, it's not that good, but it's fun. And it's like the kind of thing I'm gonna say, I mean, that's not great, but I can bob my head to that and be like, yeah, that's bopping. So it doesn't succeed too much, especially if it's using default FL Studio drums, but it tries stuff, and I respect it, and you know, it's not bad. It's groovy. So yeah, Old Grizzly is gonna get an 8. I mean, 8 on the list, not 8 out of 10. This song is really frustrating for me because I love the like piano melody at the beginning, and I wish I could rate it very highly for that, but the rest of the song is just pretty low quality in my opinion. Like the dubstep drop isn't awful, it's just not very compelling, and the section in between the first and second drops it's just awful. The entire thing is like super bare bones and empty, with this is like subs, and the entire thing is really barren, with like melodies floating a little bit, but nothing happens for a very long time. It just leads to a pretty unpleasant listening experience, not gonna lie, but you know, the melody still leads it pretty high. So yeah, Belgium is the first song on this list that I fully enjoy, and it has a lot of sections. The melodic sections are pretty well done, and the drop is just, it's fun. I really enjoy it. It's pretty simple with just like the kind of simple bass trance thing, but you know, it works, and the sound design is pretty nice, so it's enjoyable to listen to. It's a good experience, and it doesn't really do anything that's like, whoa, that's really cool. It's just a solid song that it gets the job done, and I like it for that, because it doesn't have anything that pisses me off, like a lot of other songs will do. So good job, Eminence and Alex Faraway. Another list, another kind of near the top, but not too high Neilio song. This one I actually enjoy a lot more than his others. It's a remix of Technician by Matt Duke, and the melody in this one is just really nice. I usually like Matt Duke's melodies, but this one especially is just, it's pretty groovy. And I don't know, I feel like he was a lot more successful with this one's flow than other ones, because there's a lot of like mid-sections, and there's a good amount of drops without ever feeling repetitive or it's dragging, which is really good, because I feel like Obsession definitely hit that line, or is just like, it's going a little bit long. But yeah, I think this one's a lot more successful, and it's a good song. Cloak and Dagger is a very, very well executed song for what it's trying to do. My main reason it's rated like slightly low, even though it's so well done, is just because I'm not a huge fan of the genre. It's this very like bassy, gurgly, like super slowed down dubstep, and it's alright. I've just never really liked it, because when it's not like kind of sped up with like more like intense chops and it's this super like spacey feeling dubstep, it doesn't really grab me. But the themes with like the choir and stuff are really, really cool. So I still have to give it a 7 out of 10 because it's executed so well. So yeah, definitely props to Variant for this one. So my next one is going to be Limitless by Project 46. And this one is painful because I really want to give it number 1, but it just has this one fatal flaw which really affects my opinion of it, which is how repetitive it is. It's like 7 minutes where barely anything changes, and if this song was either shortened to like 3 or 4 minutes or had more like B sections and stuff, it would have been so much better. And I guess the best way to describe it is it's not exactly like progressive house where it builds up, it's just like the same 2 minutes of song played on loop, which is like very frustrating because I love the melodies and everything here, it's very overdone. My boy, Matt Duke, is killing them yet again. Shivers is just This song is amazing. It's a very well done heavy hardcore song. The melody is super fun, and all the chopping is like things that rock the house, but just like 10 times better. And the entire thing is just a really fun experience, and it's emotional and it's well made, but it still is very, very fun and hypes you up. So I think this is a much better effort than both of his previous songs, and I do really enjoy the way it turned out. It's a kind of like very fun, like hype up kind of song that I feel like Monstercat today is kind of lacking. I wish they would have more artists kind of like this, bring back that classic rave feel. But yeah, it's good, very solid. Choosing between Top of the World and Shivers was a really tough choice for me because they're both really, really good songs, and they both have like some flaws, but Top of the World, its iconicness honestly just makes it a little bit better in my mind. Now, it does have some issues, especially this dubstep part near the middle, which is really rough. It's like the kind of cloak and dagger style, just executed very poorly, but honestly, like, the verses in the first drop are just... They're so fun and beautiful. I really enjoy listening to them, and it's just a very great song to the Monstercat catalog.